Well, I'm going to make Irina a co-host of this meeting.
Hey, Jen, when are we going to have another isolated queens?
Good question. That's a great idea. I'm going to talk to chess.com about that because
Yeah.
you did such a heartfelt. I don't know if any of you guys listened to Irene, and this I'm going to start my introduction now. But I don't know if any of you guys listened to the championship interview with Irina Krush, but she really gave a very emotive interview about her struggles earlier in the year with COVID, which she contracted really pretty early on and unfortunately got a pretty bad case of. I sent you guys a New York Times article about it a long time ago. And since then, obviously, she's feeling a lot better, which is great. And she also talked in the interview about the series of events we did called Isolated Queens Tournament. And she won one of those while she was suffering. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Irina, or did
I even feel like I think both of those events, I think I tied for first maybe in both of them, Jen.
Did you tie for first?
Why do I feel that way? Because I think I remember winning some prizes.
Yeah, maybe you won a prize. I think Alexandra won the first one, and you
maybe I was second. Yes,
yeah,
that's right. There we go. I remember winning something in both of them, so I was like feeling like a winner. Yeah, so those events were very cool, playing some of the best ladies in the U.S. and in the world, and streaming, while doing it. So Jen, you wanted me to show one of my games from the U.S. Championship.
Yes, I did. And I didn't want to, in case anybody isn't aware of Irina's illustrious list of accomplishments, well, she's now an 8-time U.S. champion, which is an incredible achievement. She's also a grandmaster, the first female who learned chess in America to become a grandmaster. Actually, I think technically she learned chess on the plane to the United States, but that counts, right? Isn't that right, Irina? You learned at like 4 on the plane from Russia to the United States.
Yeah. But I played my first tournaments in the U.S.
Yeah, so she's the first one. But you guys in the chat, I'm expecting all of you to be future grandmasters as well, or at least some of you. So with no further ado, let me introduce Grandmaster Irina Krush, who 3 days ago won her 8th championship title, and she's going to show us her best game, and boy, what a game it was.
Okay, let's get to it, guys. 1 second, let me share my screen. Yeah, this game turned out to be really important. I had no idea how important it was going to be. It was the final game of day 3. On day 3, I had played Annie Wang, Dorsa, Derek Shani, and here was my game with Tatev, someone who I played many times in the U.S. Women's Championships over the years, and we've played on the Olympiad team many times. So this was my 3rd game of the day, and of course, when you're playing 3 games a day, guys, it's a very different experience than playing 1 game a day, because someone says we've had classes with some of them, right? Yes, I think Tatev has come and taught you guys here a few times. So when you're playing 3 games a day, it's hard to know, what's the important one, because they're all important, right? It's like, in a way, you focus on one, but then you're still going to have another one that's just as important. This one came at the end. I didn't really have any special preparation for this game, believe it or not. It was just not that easy to come up with something great against the Nimzo. It's a very solid opening, and so I just came in to play. Let's see. Oh, question. What's your favorite move here?
Sorry. I thought you'd put the position on the board. But
right here. Here we go, Jen. I put it on the board.
All right, guys. So this is the Nimzo Indian, which is one of the most important defenses against d4. So you were saying, Irina, about your preparation here?
Yeah, my preparation was that I didn't have any special preparation. So I played Queen C2. Believe me, I thought about a lot of things here, but I played Queen C2. I played everything, of course, in this position. I played this Knight C3.
The poll seemed to close too early, so I'm just going to reopen it. But yeah, okay, go ahead. So you're saying you played everything. Yeah, I remember you have very good results against the Nimzo, don't you?
Generally, yeah. That's why somehow, it's interesting, guys. Like, of course, in this position, the other main move is knight f3, right? So most players, I mean, they kind of have both moves in their repertoire, which makes sense just to have some variety. But the thing is, like, I've somehow always had this big preference for this move, and I mean, I've played this. I played knight f3 as well, but maybe, who knows? Maybe I will expand a little bit more. But my whole lifelong preference has been for this move. I've never really been that afraid of the Nimzo. Of course, the Nimzo is a good solid opening for black. And I've played everything here as white, the classical Nimzo with e3, a3, knight f3, bishop g5 when I was a kid. And maybe one of my favorites, something that I've used in some important games, queen c2. Jen, let me have a poll for you, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
What is one of the highest stakes game I've played the queen c2 Nimzo in and won? I'm asking you because you have a chance to guess. It's not, I mean, it's hard, but you have a chance.
And was it against my brother?
No, not against your brother. It was actually like, it was like a big tournament, big world tournament.
The Olympiad.
The Olympiad, yeah. Which Olympiad?
One that I played in?
Yes.
The bled one against China?
It was 2004. It was Spain against China, where we won the silver medal, and that was my game against Xu Yuhua in the match against China. And because I managed to win that game, we actually won that match 2-1. So it was pretty big result. So you see, guys, I've relied on this move in some really big games in my career. So that was a long time ago. That was 16 years ago, and I still play this move. So she played d5, and she surprised me, by the way, because for Tatev, I'm not sure if she's ever even played this move here on move 4. So you see, I mean, I could have prepared as much as I wanted for her usual move castles. She actually plays this move. And we had a blitz game. I think it was an isolated queens gen this year, where we had this position on the board, me and Tatev. But she differed a bit with this move. That is a different system, even though it looks kind of similar. And immediately here, I was like, okay, well, don't have any special preparation on this. What should I do? Two main moves are a3 and pawn takes pawn. So I decided to take. And the bishop f4. This is a pretty rare move. Yeah, I mean, the main move is bishop g5. And there's tons and tons of theory here, guys, with like c5 and h6. And I play this move because it's more rare. And I had actually only tried it once before in a blitz game against Boris Gelfand this year. I wasn't sure how much attention she paid to this, one random blitz game on chess.com. So I gave it a try. And I can tell you this is certainly not the refutation of the system, and it's not a better move than bishop g5. But sometimes you got to make some practical decisions. You cannot go like a cooperative little lamb into your opponent's preparation. Obviously, she would have had something in mind against the main moves here. So I tried this one. She played c5. Yeah, that's very logical. Of course, that's how black plays these positions. And she castled e3. So at various points, guys, black has this idea of playing d4. It's always a possibility. Knight c6, knight f3, and I wasn't really in anything I knew here, guys. I was just playing logically. I sometimes in these lines the knight goes there, but that's usually if their queen moves out. But since she didn't move the queen, I mean, I definitely cannot like have my knight on this square, because I mean, how am I going to develop my bishop, right? Would not be so obvious. So that's why the knight came out here. She took. I mean, d4 was even apparently possible even here, but taking was very logical. I played bishop e2, and she played d4. So I can tell you I was not very happy. Yeah, I was not very happy at this moment in the game. We have a poll. What would you do after d4?
Now, some people in the comments are remarking that they watch the game live, and that's great. That's awesome. So you're going to get a lot of answers right. but likely you won't remember everything. You certainly won't know everything about the sub-variation. So you'll still learn a lot, but you never get punished for knowing. I mean, if you study and you watch the top games, you're just going to get more answers, right? So good for you.
Yeah, so what I was saying, guys, is like, I wasn't too thrilled about the way this game was going. I mean, from the point of view of trying to get into a complicated battle and with some chances to win and not just have my opponent trade off everything and make a draw, like, no, I was not happy, you know, and I was definitely feeling like, okay, this is why you got to study chess all the time to have, you know, new opening ideas. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it comes back to bite you when you don't do that. And so that's exactly what was going through my mind at this point. So the game did not start out in a very auspicious way for me.
Now, as you see from the polling, Irina, a lot of people wanted to play castle queenside here.
Okay. And interesting. I have to say, I didn't really consider that move, Jen. Maybe because I'm missing like a C pawn. So tell us why this move is bad, Jen. Is it, are they just going to play queen b6?
I mean, I think that what you played is better, right? I mean, because the king is on c1, so when she plays stuff like knight b4, it feels like a little more dangerous. Like, I'm not sure what
this move is kind of annoying. Yeah, I mean, because they can have queen b3, bishop e6.
Yeah, it's like the king on c1 doesn't really add that much because you're not really playing for a pawn storm as much as like a piece play attack, right?
Yeah, and I mean, look at her king. It's so much more safe than my king, right? I mean, even if I win a pawn, my king is going to find it very hard to feel safe in this position. So yeah, castle's long, sometimes an idea in these positions. I see it was popular. Who else? We got rook d1 in place number 2, ed place number 3. Okay. Yes. I mean, I thought about this move, guys, but the problem is we're trading off a little too much. You know, I didn't really see what I was going to be doing in this position. Like, here we go. This is exactly what I didn't want, like a bunch of trades, and the game is just over before it even started. So I played rook d1, typical move, right, just to keep the game a little bit more complicated. And this is where my opponent did me like a big favor. She played a move that I just was not expecting at all. And I was expecting like a very simple move, queen b6. Just getting out of the pin, I basically have to take, you know, she can take with the knight. And I was thinking, well, we're going to be playing this position. And I thought, okay, like I got a little bit something, like just because my pieces are better developed here, and like I have some ideas, maybe knight a4. And, you know, she still has to figure out, you know, how she's going to get everything out, because now that I look at it, I mean, like it's not maybe that simple for her to just develop, right? She has to watch out for this knight a4 idea. Queen b4 and a3. Looks kind of unpleasant. Nice for me, guys, that I can protect my knight. This is the little detail. And on this move, she can also try this move though. Because this is kind of funny. Because this way I take the queen, she takes my queen, I take the bishop, and she takes here. But still, actually, by the way, I am better here, guys. You know, we have an open board, bishops, I have the bishop pair, my bishops are very active. Actually, I could still be playing for an advantage here. It's not, game is not over. But, so I mean, I was expecting something like this to happen. But what happened in the game, guys, was way better than I ever could have dreamed. So she plays this move. I mean, as soon as she played this move, I was like, okay, this looks very dubious. Like, why does black need such adventures?
And what would you guys do here? And maybe we can unmute a couple people this time so we can see what you would like to play. Let us know, like raise your hand using the Zoom function if you want to be unmuted. No, they didn't play in person, Izzy. This was an online tournament. So the time control was game 25 with a 5-second increment. Pretty quick.
Hey, Jen, have you guys been discussing a U.S. Blitz championship?
it would be great to just like keep doing this one like in the future because it's been so exciting. I mean, to do like the US
It's
rapid
been really good, right? I mean, I think I really enjoyed it, Jen.
All right. So we got a lot of answers. Somebody want to unmute themselves while people are still voting? That's fine. Tara?
So I was thinking of knight takes d5. Because then if queen takes, then you can take the pawn.
What pawn?
You do e takes d4. And then the queen cannot take, because then you just lose your queen. So if you do knight takes or bishop takes, then you can take back with the knight, and then you can pin the piece to the queen and probably win it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about queen g2, but then there's bishop f3, rook e8, and king d2, and then queen f2. This is actually kind of an interesting move, but okay, maybe there's rook f1. All right, I want to go here. What are we going to do here? What's the plan?
I was thinking of like bishop e3.
Yeah, you see, the problem is this little pawn. Also, by the way, I always have like checks. So if I want to get out of the thing, I always have a check. But also this capture could be kind of unpleasant.
Yeah, I think though bishop b4 is a really annoying thing too. Like after takes on d4, instead of taking back, bishop b4 check's so annoying.
I mean, yeah, I'd have to go like here, and then you could go here, right, Jen?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Exactly. That's also very good.
Yeah, it's always annoying when you're not castled. You don't know why, but at some point something bad happens. Anyone else want to tell me what they would play? I know some of you know the game, but I think that's why a lot of people know the game, Irina. Well,
yeah. Guys, I think like knight takes d5. I thought about this, but I think that's kind of what Tatev wanted. She wanted the queen out in the middle here and having ideas of like bishop f5, and it seems like fairly active for black, right? But she obviously missed this move knight g5. And it's a very big opportunity for white, because, all right, like this is an annoying mate threat. And, the funny thing is you kind of have to go back to f6, I think. I mean, I was pretty sure she wasn't going to do it. It's very difficult to just admit that your move was like a total mistake and you just lost a tempo, and gave your opponent like a chance to castle for free. I mean, so I was kind of like expecting her to play g6, but I'm sure she wasn't happy to be doing that. So now we trade, and what's the point? I mean, the point is that we've provoked this move. That's a pretty big deal, guys, because there's a lot of weaknesses around the king suddenly. So at this point in the game, I was, of course, feeling completely different. I was like, wow, I'm just have a great position. So she was thinking here, and by the way, we're threatening to win a piece. So black is already facing very big problems. E4 is coming. She has to basically move her bishop. I was thinking, where is she going to go? Is she going to go like bishop e6 or bishop e7? They're both possible. So she chose bishop e7. And I played this move. And I think essentially, guys, like, of course, there are a lot of tempting moves for me here. This is a nice diagonal too, but I really liked this diagonal pointing at the king. And I thought I was going to get a lot of play with my bishop over there. So she moves, and okay, the problem is my knight's hanging. So what to do with this knight? Oh, look at that. I prepared the poll, Jen.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Interesting moves that are being suggested.
Yeah. Anybody want to explain why they played their move?
Sujana?
Okay, so I played the move I played was knight takes, because after you take the pawn with the knight on f7, the rook will take, and then I can take with the bishop, and now the king's, and then after that the king will probably take, and then the king is really open, and then I can do a bunch of like annoying checks to block with the queen and the bishop.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is this is actually a move. I only realized this when I analyzed it with the computer. Something like takes and even just like takes, I think. And just, you got like a couple of pawns for the two pieces. I mean, obviously you'll take there at some point, your pawn will move. And white's better here. So it's a pretty good option, although the computer did like the move that I played the most because it was very simple, guys, h4. And I think the point here is that like this bishop and this knight are like my main attacking pieces. And there's no way we're retreating, guys. Yeah, so for like, yeah, there's no knight f3. So knight f7, 1. Knight e4 is also a retreat. So yeah, we want to keep our strong pieces exactly where they are. So actually, this is a pretty good opportunity because they don't have any ways to get rid of our knight. Like they can't go h6, right? Because the queen would come in like that. If they take, they're just going to be really weak on the dark squares. So, you know, it's a simple move, guys, but the idea is that when you have pieces on good positions, you need to maintain them there. So that was the thinking. And she captured, yeah. And this was another big moment in the game. And, you know, guys, they asked me about this in the post-game interview, like how I made my decision here. And I have to say, you know, by the way, I think the computer actually likes this move, which, you know, this move and just followed by that simple capture. I mean, we're threatening bishop f7 and bishop c7, and apparently, like, this position is just winning for white. Too much stuff is going to hang for black. I mean, they can give you some checks like over here, but it's not such a big deal. Yeah, it's a nice solution. I mean, I have to say, there is a part of this game where I could have played like more decisively. And even this move I could have played. And the thing is, though, why I didn't take with the pawn. I mean, I certainly understood that, you know, getting an open file for my rook is a good thing, right? I guess I just thought like, okay, if I win this pawn and I mate them, that's great. But if I win the pawn and I'm not mating and all I have is like this extra pawn, which might have to go to e4 anyway, my king is kind of weak, so I thought it was a little risky, but this is more like of a subjective decision. I definitely would not pretend that, like, you know, the move I made bishop e3 is the best. It's the most solid. You know, it's the most solid. I felt like it was keeping all of my advantages without opening up my king at all. And the key piece for me in this position, guys, is this bishop. Actually, I felt like as long as my bishop stays on this diagonal, my opponent's not really going to solve her problems. So I was just like very aware that on this move, like I could always go bishop b3. Like this bishop stays there and he's unopposed. There's no one to block him. There's no one to trade him. Yeah, of course, my other bishop is good too, guys. But the one that points at the king right now is really like the key piece. And that's why I was feeling like, okay, I can play bishop e3, not the riskiest move. So she played there. She's actually getting some pieces out. And then she plays this move, h6. Yeah, I was like, that move looks suspicious to me. I mean, she had some better options, like everywhere white is better, but maybe like a move like knight g4 was her best try. She played this, and I got to play the move I was really dreaming about all this time. The reason I didn't play it earlier was because if I would play it immediately, she has queen c7, and I don't really get anywhere with that. So that's why I moved my bishop away. Then I couldn't do it. And then the first chance I have, I get to do this move. And I got to bring my rook in. And of course, here I was feeling very optimistic about my position because she's got to go back. And apparently here I could win with some beautiful move, knight f7, followed by another sacrifice. And then just coming in with my queen. So I'm down a rook, I'm attacking a rook though, and mainly it's just that in this position I had to see that here there's not going to be a defense, and my bishops are very strong in this open position.
And what's the threat here, guys? Alicia?
The threat is queen takes.
F7.
Yeah, and if she moves away, then I could trade, and this, and she can't even block with her rook, because of queen h8, and I could win the other rook, and I'm just completely winning. So, I mean, I had some already very devastating tactics, but I saw this one, guys, and I mean, for me, this move, like, or somehow, you know, rook takes bishop, it seems like a more forcing move than knight takes pawn. I mean, I'm taking a whole bishop. So this was really like, you know, it's hard in a rapid game to focus on everything. I mean, of course, when you have time, guys, you should make a list of candidate moves and you can go through all of your captures. In a rapid game, you got like a couple of minutes and it's actually kind of harder to do that. So I really just focused on this move. I thought it was strong. I thought it was forcing. And I was like, I just couldn't resist this opportunity to open up my opponent's king like that. I thought the main thing I calculated was, you know, pawn takes rook. And then I was planning just to come in. Although again, of course, as you probably realize, I can still play, you know, knight takes f7 going to the same line, but I was planning on this one. Attacking f7, I'm threatening queen g6 and queen h7 mate. And so I was already evaluating this position. Where it's like, yes, I am down a rook, but you know, my main threat is g6. And again, it's like this bishop, right? The one we mentioned earlier, that is really my key to winning this game. So that's what I was thinking. And when I took this bishop, and then she like thought for just a little bit, and then she took my knight, and I was like, gee, wasn't expecting that one. What to do? Yes. Yeah, f7 pin is so powerful and annoying. That's right. Well, you know, guys, that's why the bishop pair that points at the king is such a powerful force. You know, unrestricted bishops. A lot of tempting moves here, you know.
Yeah, I try to make it tricky for them. But your move is the front runner. Your move is the front runner, Irina, which is actually really impressive because I think it's hard, especially this quickly. Maybe they were really paying attention to your analysis.
Ah, that's possible.
Yeah. And thinking about like transpositions.
Yeah, I mean, rook takes f7. All of these moves are possible, but I'm not sure how it's going to work out, guys. Like, what is the plan here? Because, you know, they can defend by bringing in the other rook. So it's not so obvious that you can just capture an f7 like that. Same thing about bishop takes f7. I mean, rook takes, and not really sure where this is leading to, right? So what did I do? So yeah, I took this pawn, guys. When I realized I didn't really have anything better, I decided let's take that pawn because I already know this in this line that this is something I can go for. Yes, h takes g5, 1.
Great job. Yeah, a lot of you guys played that move, which is excellent. And then because it's a little difficult to just let your rook hang there, for sure. Very good.
And actually, guys, you know, one other thing I calculated here, I was actually calculating this move. I had to do a little bit of work to see that move. And tricky little move, you know, where she tries a deflection on my e3 bishop to try to capture my rook. Apparently, I'm winning here just like if I move my queen. I guess computer is not too afraid of like queen takes and knight takes. Somehow, I mean, they've got 2 rooks for queen and pawn, but I guess my bishops are very good. I actually was, I'll tell you, to be honest, I was calculating this move. Yeah, if you want to know what I was thinking, guys, I was thinking like this, and here I kind of have my pleasant choice of what to capture. I thought I would do this, and I mean, I did think I was just, you know, nicely better here. I mean, I understood she could like still try not to get her knight trapped with this move, but I thought my bishops and rook were really good in this position. So I was going to go for that. At least in my calculations, that's what I saw. But then she kind of quickly took the rook, yeah, because I mean, she's down a pawn, and if she doesn't really do anything, I'm going to move my rook and I'll be up a pawn. So she took my rook, and I played queen h5. And okay, the big threat is g6, right? So what I liked about this position, guys, is like, look at how all of my pieces are working. Like even this rook that I brought in, it's so important that, you know, there's a pin going on in the c file. She cannot use her knight at all. And her 2 rooks are still undeveloped, right? So I mean, like I'm down a lot of material, but all of my pieces are being used really effectively here. So she played queen e5. I mean, that's the only move. and I played g6, right? So we're threatening mate in 1. She can't really go like queen h8 because there's going to be some capture on f7. What am I going to capture with, actually? I'm trying to remember. So if I take with my bishop, she can maybe even take with the rook. Probably taking with the pawn, right? King here and figuring out something.
God, this looks so good for white. Probably like you can even just go queen f5 and
yeah, because this king, yeah, it's not looking too good. Yeah.
And you're threatening rook takes c6 and bishop d4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So she played queen g7, and here, guys, unfortunately, I missed this beautiful win that that the commentary team pointed out to me. I did it in a little bit of a more prosaic way.
But you were winning anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's important to play one of the two best moves here, I think.
It's like funny because I actually was trying to do the same idea. So what does prosaic mean? Prosaic means like more banal, more routine, more, there's like flashy chess, right? You do something spectacular, and prosaic is like the opposite of spectacular. Prosaic is like more routine,
Yeah, simple.
Or
it's
every
funny.
day.
I like how your first explanation for prosaic was banal. Because like that's like another word that people might not know.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, it's chess is actually good for expanding your vocabulary because you have to read a lot of books and magazines when you play chess, and there's some funny words that get used.
So, guys, what's happening in the poll, Jen?
I think your move's winning by a small amount. Anybody want to say what they would play? Vanessa or Via? I had Vanessa, but then she disappeared.
Take c6.
Nice.
Yeah.
C6, and then if pawn takes c6?
Bishop d4.
Excellent. That's right.
It's a beautiful, beautiful idea. Beautiful, like remove the guard and then do that deflection. And it's just funny how helpless black is on these diagonals, how like they can't really block. Their queen just is too busy guarding h7. So that would have been much nicer. I played this move. She moved here. And then I moved here. Maybe, she didn't really notice what I was doing there. I think, Jen, right? Because, like, look, my bishop was here. Looks so harmless. I'm going there. Maybe she didn't even realize, like, that it went to a different square. Maybe she thought I was just, trying to repeat the position or something with little time. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because, you don't have a lot of time to, like, notice these differences, right? I mean, here her only chance was this move. And it's funny, guys. Actually, I'm winning here in a kind of a nice way, and I believe it's not with pawn takes. Yeah, it's with bishop takes. I would have needed to kind of see that. There's this whole line, like for example, here there's bishop h6, and okay, then they get mated kind of nicely. It's very unusual, I would say, configuration of queen and bishops, And if she plays rook takes f7, then there's this very cool little detail. I mean, just take a look at this, guys. There. Okay, this move. Yeah, I didn't see any of this. It's something like I saw. I checked at the end of the game. And you're getting a piece to go there. They can't take with their king because they get mated, right, in a very prosaic way. So they got to take with the rook, and then just look at this detail. I mean, now they can't go there because of mate. So they got to go to h8, and I would just trade the queens finally and take that rook that I lured. I mean, look, guys, I didn't see that. I don't think it's that obvious. If she would have played queen h4, I mean, what I was seeing was just like the very simple, pawn takes and then king g7. And actually, it's like not so clear. I mean, of course, you're looking at stuff like that, the really obvious attacking moves, but, somehow, like, of course, I'm better in this endgame. Yeah, it's like white's got the advantage for sure. But the game's not over. You know, that's why rook takes c6 would have been more powerful. And I mean, yeah, I don't know if I would have found bishop takes f7 if I would have realized that, because I mean, honestly, like, it's not the most obvious thing. Although I guess I can also throw in this move, right? I mean, it's like the same idea, maybe a little bit easier. Why go f8 when I can just do that? Or, yeah, that looks pretty good, because then I can trade and just do that. Hopefully I would have found the stronger bishop takes f7, but I'm not sure I would have. But she played back. She kind of missed my idea of like why my bishop went to this little square, right? And then I kind of got in the sneaky move, bishop c3. And suddenly my bishop is like so much better on this diagonal than it was on this diagonal. And there's no knight block, there's no bishop block, there's no pawn block, and there's no queen captures pawn. So yeah, if only that pawn wasn't pinned, you know, but you know, that's why my bishop went there, guys. Yeah, they went there to play his very useful role. And so that's how it worked out. It turned out this game was really an important point for me because it gave me a half a point lead going into the last day. And I needed that half a point, you know, because my closest competitor, Carissa, was just winning her games.
Yeah, and
power bishop pairs, yeah.
I love it because, you know, your bishop pair ended up winning this game, and it's like the most beautiful example of two bishops. And I think that also like circles back to the beginning where the Nimzo Indian is an opening where white often gets the two bishops.
Yep, that's true. You dream about bishops like that, I think. Finally to have their completely, you know, open diagonals and, you know, pinning things, attacking things. I mean, yeah, that's where they're at their most powerful. So this is my game against Emily, guys, and of course there were some little tactical operations that got here, and this was like sort of the critical moment where I am doing really well, and you know, at first I was thinking, okay, here's the moment. This is the funny one. I mean, who wouldn't play this move? Isn't this just such an obvious check? I mean, you put your rook on an open file, a rook that's doing nothing. Clearly a good move, right? But amazingly, guys, it's not the best move. And the best move was this move, which, I mean, look at the difference, the subtle differences. I mean, when I played this, I mean, honestly, I was still thinking like maybe I was just going to take that pawn and go for a nice endgame, which, by the way, I decided not to do because I just realized it wasn't so clear. I was like, yeah, I want a pawn, but, you know, my opponent's got a bishop, I've got a knight, like who knows if I'm going to win this endgame. And so I decided anyway, I went in for a more aggressive move with queen g6. But what's the difference? Like imagine I would have played this move. She goes there, I go there. This is a really beautiful difference. Okay, let me show you this line, guys. When I played this move, I was thinking maybe in this position I could sack. Like I really wanted to. I wanted to sack. I wanted to give the check. They got to go there. And I saw that I have this move. Now I was like, wow, I got like checkmate and checkmate. Two checkmate threats. How is she going to stop it? Like she can't even go there because it's still a checkmate. But then I was like, oh no, b2 is hanging. And it's a check, and my king is actually coming under attack. I cannot avoid, you know, the checks. So I didn't go in for this line. But look at the difference. Had I started with this rook in this position, this move was possible because I can go here. I mean, incredible roll of this rook. I mean, that was so beautiful, so deep. I mean, of course, there's no chance I would have seen that, you know, because, you know, it's funny how in chess it's sometimes very paradoxical. I mean, like, there's a reason I played this move. I think, like, that's the move, I don't know, that's the first move that comes to your mind. It's take a piece that's doing nothing and you make it better, and the rook on c1 looks like it's actually doing something. But, I mean, it's like, it's just funny that in this attacking line, the rook needs to be on g1 instead of on b2. Instead of on c1. So that was one thing that I missed, guys. So even this check rook f1, which looks so natural, is actually a little bit of a mistake. But then I went in for this. And so, okay, now you already know why I didn't play rook takes bishop. I played g5. And I was like, all right, I'm trapping this bishop. So she plays here. Of course, I saw that idea. You know, it's really her only move. And I needed to get my king out of the way. What did I do? I played here. Yeah, because the idea is I want to trade and take on f6. And then she goes here. And I got really, really nervous, guys, because I kind of missed this move. And the threat of queen e2 is really significant. And my own king is quite weak. And I just wasn't sure how this was going to wind up for me. And I played king f3. And here's the other amazing thing. I think the best move here was king f2, guys. This is another of those computer finesses like I had like literally no chance to find. Why? Why is this a better move than king f3? Because now when rook takes, and she has to go here. Now I have this move. And I'm basically getting my king to the safest possible square. I mean, it's an amazing little escape with the king. Because of course my king is very happy on d1 and her bishop is trapped and that's it. You know, game over. So I didn't see that idea. I played king f3, another very natural move. I mean, you see how these small little differences, guys, they are actually, they can make, they can change a lot. Because now my king is not able to just fly over to d1 or e1. He's got to stay on the king side where it's a lot more dangerous. And apparently here, I mean, I was again like still very nervous about my position, even though I was taking a bishop. I mean, look at my king, and my knight seems to be completely somehow not having entered the game. And I was just quite lucky here that that she captured with the rook, and somehow that was the very, very wrong capture, because I get this check and I get this check, and her king just cannot escape, because she has to let my knight into the game. And then I pursue the king to checkmate. I was, of course, very happy that the game ended in this unexpected way. But, was this move possible, Jen? Is there some king d8? Even this move is like quite annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, there were some scary lines here. Continue, especially you only had like a couple minutes left on the clock, right? Like 3 minutes maybe.
Yeah, even less than that. I mean, it's like everything is just hanging, and the king. You see, guys, like this one decision. I mean, like where to put my king f2 or king f3. Like this one, easy win. Just easy win, because this is king safety, which is the most important thing in chess. I tried this idea without that, a little finesse, and the difference is that my king has to be in a much more precarious position, and her queen is coming in. So I mean, had she, even like this move, not very clear. I mean, my king is very open. I mean,
yeah, with the time control. Yeah, anything could have happened here. That would have been crazy.
Yep.
And you could have had the playoff versus Carissa for first place, which would have been entertaining,
yeah.
not ideal for you. Not ideal for you. Okay.
No, not ideal. So
Nice finish, though.
I was just like, I was just really amazed at these lines, Jen, because when I was playing, I didn't suspect that there were these little nuances, that were making this very big difference.
It's amazing how there are so many nuances, and even when you're playing rapid, there's so much chess beauty you can discover. I got a couple good questions from Alina. Which U.S. championship was more satisfying, the first or the 8th?
Oh, very different. Yeah, okay, that's a good question, guys. 8 championships. It's kind of like it's a big story, because each championship is like a big. It's like a big event in itself, The first one would happen so long ago when I was 14 years old. I mean, 22 years ago, that I cannot tell you. It's very vivid in my mind. You experience things differently when you're a kid. I feel like things were probably a lot easier when I was a kid. I won kind of unexpectedly. Like I didn't realize I was ready to do something like that. I was a freshman in high school, and yes, I was getting better, but I mean, just the year before, I had an even score in the championship. Like I only had 4.5 points out of 9, which was nice, but that doesn't exactly, lead you to think that the next year you're going to get like double that almost, right? So that championship was like, it probably in a way, maybe was my easiest, because it was like, there was not really that much pressure on me. I was just, it was an unexpected result. And I just kept winning all my games in that one. And at some point, yeah, I couldn't even really be caught, right? Because there was a big gap with second place. But this championship, okay, it's a lot more vivid in my memory. Very different kind of championship. Also in a way unexpected, right? I mean, I don't know that I cannot say, I came into the championships thinking of myself as like a front runner. But which one is the most satisfying? Probably I'd have to pick something in between. There must have been something in those years in between. I had so many tough championships with playoffs and
Playoff versus Anna.
I mean, maybe, I had a really good championship in 1 year, Jen, where I got 8 points out of 9, which was actually really, it was a big score, especially already in the modern, age. In fact, I had 7.5 out of 8, and I made a draw in my last round against Camila. That was a really good championship for me. I think in terms of quality, that was the 2013 championship. But in terms of which one is the most satisfying, let's just say the most recent one is always the most satisfying, right?
Good answer. Izzy, you had a question. Do you want to be unmuted real quick?
Oh, I like what Liliana said, Jen. She said, and the next one, the 9th.
Nice. Yeah, Liliana has some great comments. I know Izzy's question though, so I'll ask for her. She asks, who inspires you the most?
Interesting. Who inspires me? You mean like a player?
It could be, it could be either. It could be a non-player.
Guys, it could be a non-player. Well, in terms of what I consider maybe my biggest inspiration is the people who root for me. Yeah. That's the way I would put it. It's not like a player. Obviously I've learned and I continue to learn from the best players, guys. I think that's important that you never stop learning. But in terms of my biggest motivation and inspiration to do well, it's the people who support me, the people who are rooting for me, who believe in me, my friends, my students, my coach, my family. So those are the people that I try so hard for.
That's really nice. Via, you wanted to ask your question on camera?
Yeah, well, I have 2 questions. The first one is, who's your favorite chess player?
Well, these days I have to say Magnus Carlsen. If you told me which chess player would you like to watch, or if they're going to play a banter blitz, who would you watch? I would say Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah.
That's the go-to guy. You can never go wrong with that choice. And I really enjoy, watching his banter blitzes. And in the beginning of this year, I was doing that a lot. He does a lot of events on his website, Chess24.
Mm-hmm.
Would recommend you guys to watch that.
Mm-hmm. I did watch a game that he played vs. Hikaru Nakamura.
Yep.
And my other question is, do you like online chess or over-the-board chess more?
Well, I don't think I have to tell you, I don't think there's really that many chess players that would tell you they like online chess more than over the board. I think people are, obviously like to play chess in person. I didn't mind playing online. I'm fine with that. There were advantages to playing this tournament online. What did I enjoy? I can tell you what I enjoyed. I enjoyed not packing for the trip. I enjoyed not taking 2 suitcases with me to St. Louis. I enjoyed, not thinking about what I was going to be wearing. I could, put on the same Parents Cup sweater every day, Jen, and then play my event, right? But what I didn't enjoy about playing online, there are some downsides, guys. You have to worry about things like your internet connection. And to be honest, I don't know, Jen, did you notice that in my game with Sabina, I actually disconnected from Lead Chess because my internet went unlimited when I had 2 minutes left. So if I had, and I was very lucky, I was able to just instantly reconnect. It worked. But had I had 5 seconds left when that happened, okay, there goes your championship, So of course, guys, there's it's a different experience playing online. You got to worry about different things. Or there was one moment during the tournament where something happened to my second computer, because, you know, we were being observed from 2 different computers. Something happened, I couldn't get into the Zoom meeting, and I was like fiddling with this computer as I already started my game against Talia Cervantes. You know, it's like for a few minutes, just couldn't figure out. It was telling me I was already in the Zoom meeting, and I wasn't. It's a different experience, you know. I think overall, if you take away any problems with technology, I enjoy playing from home. I mean, you can save a lot of time, you're completely focused. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, the experience of playing from home, it's not like a foolproof experience, you know. It's not like quite the same as going to play in the St. Louis Chess Club, right? So
Yeah.
I think it took a little bit of luck for me to win. It took a little bit of luck for my internet to hold up. And, you know, there are other aspects, you know, playing online that are not as fun, but I think I covered enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Via. Vernika, did you want to ask your question on camera?
Yeah, so how did you prepare your openings for the tournament?
How did I prepare my openings? Yeah, well, I took a little bit of time off to actually prepare for this tournament, guys, because it's hard enough to prepare for one opponent per day. But when you have 3 upcoming games, if you haven't done any advanced preparation, it's going to be even harder. So I did try to prepare. I mostly prepared for people that I was playing in the first half. Like, of course, I prepared, you know, for my games with like Sharitha Swaran and like Carissa, because those were my round 1 games. I thought about the young top girls like Annie Wang and Jennifer Yu. And I tried to do as much as I could for those, but then there were games I just didn't really get to before the tournaments. You know, like I mentioned Tatev, I didn't really get to think about my game with her so much. I didn't think about my last round opponents at all, guys, and that was on purpose because there's not so much point preparing in advance for your last round opponents. You don't know what the tournament situation is going to be. You don't know what kind of opening is going to be appropriate at that moment. So I didn't think about like Sabina and Emily really at all until I got to them and I knew what sort of situation I was in. So that, of course, is logical. But you know, how do I prepare? I mean, I prepared some new openings. I thought about what my opponents did. I tried out, Jen, I don't know if you noticed, I tried out the Scheveningen for the first time in my life. You might not have noticed because I play so many Sicilians, like it maybe just looked like things I've played before, but I don't think I've ever done the Scheveningen move order.
Yeah, we were definitely thrown off by that. We didn't realize it was your first time, but it was like definitely Carissa being such an aggressive player. We were like, this is going to be a barn burner.
Crazy playing the Karas, allowing the Karas attack. Yeah. I mean, I thought about that. That was, of course, you know, a decision I made before, and I did spend some time. You know, so there were definitely new things I tried in the openings, guys, and I have to say, opening preparation and your choice of openings, it is wow, it is a little bit of an art, you know. It is not just something like, you know, some players, of course, when you start out playing chess, guys, you just have your openings, like there's nothing to prepare, you just play what you know, right? But when you get to higher levels, you start making choices and you start thinking not only about what you play, you start thinking about what your opponents play and what they can play and what kind of mood they're in and what's the tournament situation, and you make your decisions, guys, factoring in many, many things. It's not as straightforward as just like, oh, I play the Sicilian, so I'm just going to play it. Like, I played a different Sicilian line in this tournament in almost all of my games, and all of those choices were like very, you know, opponent specific.
Yeah, that's a great point. I like how you say it's an art to opening preparation. Tara, did you want to ask your question?
Yeah, so I was wondering, so I saw it like when you won your game against, when you realized that you'd won your game against Emily, you kind of like, you're like jumping up and you seem to be really happy. I was just wondering like what was like going through your mind at that moment? Like, were you thinking like, oh my God, I've won my title. Wow. I wonder how I'm doing in the tournament. Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, good question. Well, that's the thing. Nothing was going through my mind at all. I mean, it was a completely instinctive reaction. I mean, I knew I won. I didn't have to think about it. I knew going into this game that if I won the tournament, you know. So knowing that, like, when I got the checkmate, it was just like, that was just me knowing, just like, as if, you know, it's just like the way I know my own name, right? Like, that's me knowing that I won the tournament. And so my reaction was just immediate. And yes, you're right. In perceiving that I was happy, I was very happy. I was very relieved, you know, that there would not be some kind of playoff and more stress ahead. And, you know, that I just finished the job right there.
Amazing. Yeah, I love that question, Tara. Marissa?
Hi. Okay. So I just want to say congratulations first for your win, and so this is kind of related to something that you already answered, but I was wondering, like, what do you think the virtual aspect like might have affected, or like how, in what way did like it affect your playing? Do you think that like if you were in person you might have done better or worse, and like why would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible. I doubt I would have done better. It's hard for me to do better than how I did, I think, in this tournament. I mean, okay, it's like the score I got, it's a realistic score for me. You know, if I'm playing well, it's hard to do a lot better. I mean, you can always say you can get like 10 points out of 11, but, you know, that's just not something you can really count on. So I'm pretty satisfied with how I did. And would I have done better in person? I don't have any reason to think I would have, I guess. You know, it all worked out, you know. You had a pretty decent tournament. You didn't lose any games. You kind of had a half-point lead finishing most of the days. And it's like at the end as well. So, yeah, I don't think it would have gone much better in person.
Yeah, I think it's funny because a lot of times people who are really busy, it's actually like their blitz or rapid is good for them because it's a shorter tournament. And sometimes like people think, oh, the rapid, it's like a younger player is going to win it for sure. And I actually think it's like sometimes the opposite, because the stamina required for like a 2-week tournament is like really intense, you know? So I thought that, you know, like, unfortunately Anna did quite poorly, but I thought you, Anna, and Tatev had really good chances in this one. And well, you won it, so.
Yeah, you know, rapid, I mean, it's like this was a very different experience, guys, than the usual tournament we have in St. Louis that is over 2 weeks. And I cannot say that I found it easier. I found it different. The thing is that in St. Louis, you know, we're playing 1 game a day. It's not exactly that I get tired, you know, playing for 2 weeks. I mean, it's just 1 game a day, right? But the thing is, when you're preparing for 3 games per day, and like, you know, you guys understood I had preparation, but it wasn't like all encompassing, and I had to do a lot of work. I mean, I would, you know, the way I felt, Jen, is like I would finish my games at like 5 or 5:30. I mean, I was ready to fall asleep at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. At any point before the round, after the round, I wanted to sleep. And that's not because I'm such a early bird, you know, kind of sleeper. It's like, it's because I was exhausted. Because what I would do is, of course, I didn't go to sleep at 9 p.m. I'd be preparing until like 1 in the morning. The only thing I would do is like I would eat, I'd go for a walk, and then I'd spend like probably another 4 hours in preparation for like my, you know, the 3 games coming up. So that's why it was so tiring. It was like, because it's all packed in. Yes, right. It's only 4 days, but it's like that's 3 times the work that you have every single night. Now, of course, you prepare less for rapid games than you do for classical games. It's a different kind of preparation, but you're still doing preparation, and you're still doing preparation for 3 different opponents with different colors, and they playing different repertoires. So I didn't really find it easier. I found it difficult, and like in just a different. It was similarly difficult in a different way.
Very nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense and just goes to show how much work went into it. Well, thank you so much. I mean, you've only been champion for a few days, and so we're really grateful that you were able to come in and say hi and talk about your big win with us. And so everybody do give Irina a cheer as you exit. And I should let you know that next week we are going to go back in November, starting a more regular schedule now that the U.S. Championship is over. So Thursday is going to be our main day. We're not going to be doing anything Tuesday next week. It's election day. So I guess most of you can't vote, but it might be a busy day for everyone. So I'll see you guys next week on Thursday and email that. in the beginning of the week. And yes, big thank you to Grandmaster Irina Krush, our 8-time champion.
Thank you guys. I see in your chats to me, you're writing very nice things, and I appreciate that you all came and enjoyed this class.
Bye.
Okay,
Probably like some big surprise.
Bye.
Congrats, Irina. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.